Hello, welcome to another episode of CX Talks. With me here is Nate Brown. The man needs no introduction. You can see him everywhere, every customer experience event. This is a man you'll spot, from far, far ahead. Thank you, Nate. Thank you for joining.
My pleasure. Yeah, great to see you, Avi, and thank you for having me. I love this show and excited to be here. Thank you so much.
CX Talks is an effort, to demystify, what customer and employee experience is all about.
Yeah.
Okay. Learn from stories, learn from insights, and then make it, more easy to digest, for all of our viewers. Our viewers range from people who want to get into this industry to the experts. Having you is a great thing because you have spent a lot of years in this industry doing a lot of different things, and we'll talk more about that.
Still got so much to learn. I'm definitely just a student of this work. It's changing every day, which I think is the most dynamic and exciting puzzle. Customer experience is so left brain and right brain. I mean, right brain in the sense of its relationships, its emotions, but then left brain, it's so scientific. It's so data oriented. So the fact that these things come together in this one function, I've always loved the puzzle of it.
And then, that takes me right to the quote, this is your favorite quote. It's a quote by Dennis Yon. And I'll hand it over to you to complete it.
Wow. Well, if I recall right from my prep sheet, it was the amazing Denise Leon quote where she says, you can't give a gift to the customer that you haven't already given to your employees. Like they can't pass it on. And I just think that connection is so brilliant. I mean, the idea of the organization, the community of the organization, the cohort of the senior leaders creating and designing an experience for their people that is distinctive, that they can be proud of, that's meaningful. And then the employee group gets to pass on that very gift to the customers and extend their community that way. It's such a powerful metaphor to me.
For our audience, would you want to give a brief background of what your amazing journey, and then more importantly, how do you get into this? I'm always curious, when I talk to people, customer employee experience. How does one start? You don't think about it when you're growing up. I want to become a customer experience expert. So talk to me about that a bit.
Sure. Well, I grew up playing golf. And I really thought I was going to be a professional golfer, as one does think when they're 13 and 15. But I was pretty good, but not quite that good. I got offered a couple small golf scholarships here and there, and I was kind of disappointed because, the dream didn't come together. But I ended up going to this little tiny private Christian school called Toccoa Falls College. And I absolutely fell in love with this place, and so many wonderful things happened. And I was just activated, there in the North Georgia mountains in some really cool way. But learned about the concept of servant leadership. And that really became the springboard into my business career. Unfortunately, it wasn't an immediate connection. I started selling postage meters on the streets of Jacksonville, Florida as about my first job out of college. That was pretty tough. It was these little tiny stamper machines that were already irrelevant.
Many people won't even know what it is anymore. So,
oh gosh. So that was a journey, getting kicked out of strip malls for a year of my life. But what I did find is that we had a few existing customers in my territory, and I got to provide customer service to those existing customers. And oh my gosh, did I love getting to do that. And that became the origin of what would be my next job at what would become UL, Underwriters Labs. I was a frontline customer service agent, and I absolutely loved it. I excelled in that role. I was serving 100 customers a day with incredibly complex learning management questions, all the way down to very quick, help me get logged in kind of things. I just loved it. I jumped in with both feet, and you really came alive in that role, and had some good folks around me, some great peer-to-peer relationships that really helped activate me and carry a sense of pride within that customer service work. And so eventually took ownership of that team, and it became a department when we acquired other occupational health companies into us. And suddenly our little learning management software became unbelievably complex with incident management, occupational health, employee health, and still the entire learning library and all of the adult learning software that we had. So the amount of the scope of support, the scope of service across this technology, and the different clients that we had, just the range of the different types of clients we had, it was so complex. So you want to talk about a puzzle. As a young Nate
How long
Brown,
was the training time for anyone new joining in?
I mean, on the occupational health technology, it was a good 6-7 months before somebody could really be turned loose to do full customer service on one of those applications. So very complex stuff. And I just loved it. I love the puzzle of it. I love what we were getting to do for customers, trying to get to go on site with customers and different things. And it was a global leader program that I got to be a part of at UL that kind of brought me to that final level of activation, at least what I've seen so far in my life, where I was like, okay, I've learned a lot. I'm going to start now contributing to the global CX community. Started writing, speaking, just learning and participating in the things happening beyond the walls of my office. And oh my goodness gracious, what a fun thing that is. And I am still just absolutely enamored with the global CX community and what we get to do together.
It is a very close-knit community, and then, you see that, multiple times a year on how close it is. But tell me this, and this is a question, from my experience, because I remember walking into my son's school, when he was 5 years old, and they asked me, okay, hey, why don't you tell every kid, what do you do? The kid was like the career day.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, so you had, people from the armed forces, people from, police, and it's very simple. People know it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they asked me, okay, so how do I explain my role,
a little
to
tougher,
a 4-year-old?
Yeah.
So how would you do that? I'll tell you how I did it, but and I know my son was just laughing, throughout, but how do you explain it?
That's a cool question. I'll use my most viral tweet of all time. So I'm somebody that makes people's lives better and easier.
Okay.
Period. And I think if we really boil down what customer experience work is, that's what it is. We're sucking friction out. We're creating positive experiences for the people that we get to serve. We're making people's lives better and easier. That's what it should be about.
And then that's a fantastic answer. So I'll tell you about mine. So that time, I was working for a software development company, and we were making, software for video games.
Yeah, awesome.
So I told them, hey, I make video games you guys, play on.
Wow.
And when my son came home and said, no, Dad, you don't do that.
Shit.
But it was fun. And let's step, into the core. So we talked about, how an employee experience is very important to deliver a better customer experience, right? And how they intersect. And if I take, cue from one of your lines, basically what you said, what you do is, my sweet spot is helping employees to understand the customer journey and how they play a role in improving it. Let's talk a little bit more about it. How do you go about it? Because how do you link a company goal and a customer goal to an employee goal? Because that alignment is so important, yet I'm sure in your and my experiences, we don't see a lot of effort being spent on that piece.
Sure.
So, would love to hear your thoughts, both from an examples perspective. How does one approach it?
So great question. In my mind, there's always this thing called the company identity matrix, which is this classic resource that was featured on Harvard Business Review. But at the bottom of this pyramid, you've got the competencies, like what this company, what this collection of people, I like to call it a community of people, what they're really, really good at. And then what are the mission and values? Like, what are the things that we stand for at this organization? And then you level that up, and then you've got your core brand promise. It's like, this is where we're drawing a line in the sand in terms of we are going to do this for our customers. And then in this way, so like you have your brand personality that starts to come out, and it's like, here's our purpose, and here's how we're going to make that happen in the world, the promise that we're going to defend. And then the very top of the pyramid, you've got like market segmentation and some little more scientific things. So I'm generally operating on the bottom two layers of that pyramid, thinking about, wow, how can we really get people excited and aligned to this brand promise that exists inside of this company? You're better at this than anybody else in the world. How can we intrinsically motivate employees to have a significant sense of pride around that promise that they get to defend, and that they know how they're doing in that, and they feel a camaraderie and a sense of like extreme identity as part of operating inside of that community. So those are the things that I'm usually thinking about when I first walk in the door.
And then what are some of the tools that have worked for you? Because, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from, right? As the demographics are changing,
Yeah.
okay, there is definitely a big divide
Yeah.
in
Has
terms
been
of
for a long
both,
time.
right? It has been for long because today we have like 4 generations, living together, right? And what expectations of one generation is very
Yeah.
different from another. How do you make them intersect?
Yeah. One tool that I've used is the combination of what's called TOMO, total motivation, along with employee pulse surveys through a tool called Office Vibe or something like Tiny Pulse. Qualtrics has a version of their own. But total motivation was introduced in a resource called Prime to Perform. And it's talking about intrinsic motivation. How do we get people to do their very best work in the most consistent way possible? It's like, that's what we're trying to achieve here, right? Like, let's make the brand promise something that we can defend reliably. And in order to do that, we've got to have people that are highly capable and motivated to do that. So you've got the things on the negative side, the things that suck the motivation out. This is like an over dependence on compensation. Like, I am financially stuck here. Like, I'm only here for the paycheck. I'm going to do the bare minimum to get that. If you throw a little financial incentive out there, I'll snap for a second to try to get it, but then I'm right back into my minimum value hole. You've got different social pressure and fear and guilt and codependence on a boss and like all kinds of that type of negative motivation that enters in without us even seeing or feeling it. But the circle of psychological safety gets destroyed very quickly when leaders do not operate with integrity and they don't treat people well. There's a lot of negative motivations that get introduced into it. But the most dangerous and negative motivator of all, can you guess what it is, Abhi?
Self-worth.
It's inertia. I've always done this. I'm stuck in my little box. I'm in my rut. I'm happy and comfortable. And how dare you come and try and change anything?
Change. The resistance to change. Yeah.
People are remarkably resistant to it. And so they fall into these minimum value patterns and they just get stuck in these inertia states. So we have to constantly, as CX leaders, be breaking that pavement, breaking the inertia, and waking people up and energizing them with the positive motivators, which is a sense.
Let me ask you this. Both of us, have been part of the BPO industry too. Now, that throws in another angle because, as a BPO, you are servicing a brand to deliver that brand's promise. So now that employee, which is there, has two loyalties, or two experiences. One is directly with the brand, one is directly with the BPO. Does that make it more complex to make it intersect? Because an employee has to feel very close to their employer and has to feel close to the brand they are representing. What dynamics does that throw up?
I've seen that work in two different ways. I mean, and sometimes you absolutely feel like a second-class citizen. You do not feel like you're a part of the organization that you're serving and that you're part of this external group and that's all you'll ever be. And that external group doesn't really value you either. You're just a number. You're just a metric to them. You're just a CSAT score. And you don't get a good sense of identity or community in either place at all.
Correct.
I'll contrast that with a company called Dick's Sporting Goods, who treats their external vendors so well and includes them as ambassadors into their organization. The customer service leadership inside of that company is so good and so strategic in terms of engaging those folks and giving them a meaningful sense of community. So they not only should they get the good camaraderie inside of their own BPO organization, if it's a good one, they have that, but they get the additional community and the additional activation of getting to represent this really cool brand. So, I mean, it should be a 2X factor, but usually, sadly, what actually happens is it's a 0X factor. You're not being treated well in either one.
And then how, in your experience, do you think that's like 50-50 in the marketplace, or, is it more, I think, or the brands are realizing the importance of it and hence working very closely with the select ecosystem, which, I know it's, hey,
you're going to get me in trouble over here. I see it rarely, personally, where you've got a really good activated BPO that has a really good strategic relationship with an organization and you're intrinsically motivating these folks that are serving customers directly. I mean, it's a great ecosystem. Like, they've created a great ecosystem. Usually what I see instead, I would say 80% of the time, is just a tremendous focus on like daily, weekly metrics. Are you hitting the CSATs? Are you hitting this number here? Is this happening? Are we hitting this target here? And that's important. I'm not saying that it isn't, but like, when that's all the agents see or hear, something's wrong. Like, we should be motivating them intrinsically with really good customer feedback and being a part of a great community of people that are serving customers together. Like, these are the things that matter and are going to stick out in the minds of these service workers. Not like, oh man, my daily CSAT score today was 66%. I wonder if I'm going to get removed from this contract tomorrow.
Correct.
That's broken.
I would agree in terms of how do you align that. And then, I see two alignment factors, right? On which we started. First one, let's talk about the first one. And you talked about a great brand out there who have made that experience stick. How do you make that experience stick? Now, to make an experience stick, we talked about metrics a little bit, measuring a certain set of metrics. First, how do I measure it? Number one, are we measuring it right? And then once you measure it, how do you make it sticky? Any thoughts on that, or any recent, work, you've been in?
Yeah. So I started a contact center inside of a PRO recently, a performing rights organization, hiring really young, really fun, dynamic talent, many of which had never done customer service before. So they had this music industry knowledge, and they had this great personality that fit the brand and other things, but was basically engaging them as a customer service resource for the first time in some of those cases. So it was fascinating. And as I was building that out and thinking about the metrics set around that, and not just at this most recent stop, but, as a consultant in the space, doing this in the gaming industry for several different companies, helping them to set up these metrics that would reinforce the right things. The first question I'm asking is, have I created a good job for this service worker? Is this good? Are they enjoying it? Are they activated? Do they want to be here? Like,
and then that's the most important thing, because that is your brand ambassador. Have you gotten the right ambassador?
Yes.
And are they motivated enough to deliver?
You've got a whole set of metrics around that employee experience, again, using things like pulse surveys and other things, and just good one-on-one meetings, really strategic. Hey, how do you feel this week? How are you doing? Are you enjoying this work? What's your least favorite part about it? What's your favorite part about it? Like, I'm asking those questions and getting a very clear understanding of where this person is in their job and how satisfied they are delivering customer service day after day. So that's where it starts. Then we're asking the question, okay, so they like it here. Now, are they doing a great job on these customer interactions? Are they doing a great job on these interactions? And so I've got a whole myriad of things that I'm really trying to see and understand so that I can coach them up and help them to be even more effective inside of these interactions. So I love creating a really good, intelligent quality scorecard, like a custom quality scorecard that reinforces what value looks like in an interaction. Because you have a lot of different types of customer interactions, right?
Exactly.
I mean, some companies, you're trying to be ultra quick and precise. Like, we're kind of still in an efficiency mode. I'm trying to get a lot of interactions in. I'm trying to handle them quickly. Like, that's what value looks like. And there's a lot of different reasons why that might be the case.
Yeah.
For most companies now, if we're using human talent to service customers, then we should use that strategically. And we're not trying to just make this into a quick transaction. We want them to camp out and generate a customer connection. We want them to create value in this interaction. I'm not so worried about average handle time anymore. I'm not so worried about CSAT over here anymore. I'm not worried about first call resolution in the same way. Am I measuring these things? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
Because those give me insights that could become things where it's like, yeah, okay, we've got to do better here as a team, or this individual here. It's giving me little points of truth that I get to connect in a more macro sense. But what I'm really looking for is sentiment. Like, did the sentiment, did this feel good? And like, I give specific attributes to what that looks like. What do I mean when I say, does that feel good? We're trying to create a certain type of interaction here. I want that customer to feel confident. They've made a good decision by doing business with us. They feel more confident now having talked to one of my team members about a problem they were having. They're excited about the resolution. So like, am I getting these feelings to happen inside of the interaction? And then there's some kind of concept of value. Are we taking this customer and helping to unlock the next step for them that represents value back to the business? Are we opening up a share of wallet opportunity? Are we helping to engage this client in a way that's going to help with renewal and retention? And I should and I can, with great CRM technology and great customer sentiment technology and great customer experience management platform technology, I can measure the value of that interaction with sentiment as the root, but then also connecting into these really good, intelligent, custom-built quality scorecards.
Everyone needs a super agent who can do a lot of things. And in multiple ways, you touched upon that. Yes, you do need a super agent, but in order to make that super agent deliver, you need to first define what is the brand value proposition to the base of the pyramid you talked about.
Yeah.
From that, you need to derive the right value and hence the right scorecard to then define, what will that super agent be doing? Is that the correct flow, in a way?
Yeah. I mean, I would even say like is this super agent, do they belong here? Or did we hire somebody?
Basic thing.
Did we hire somebody that really belongs here in terms of the way that they're creating customer interactions and interactions with peers?
Yeah, correct.
Are they representing truly our company values? And do we have actual company values that mean something and that are somewhat distinctive, so that if we just push somebody down one door to the right of our office building, it doesn't look exactly the same? There should be a distinctive community within this group of people doing something very meaningful. And so did we bring in this super agent who belongs here?
So in a way, what you're saying is, yes, all that exercise around brand, the value.
Yep.
And in fact, also what will that quality scorecard look like?
Yeah.
Happens first. And then that feeds into what other people you're hiring.
Exactly.
Instead of applying it later on to someone you hire.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
and so that's a great insight. But then, if once you have done that, okay, then how do you address, what you call, in one of your posts, you've said the epidemic of loneliness. So, talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like calling workplaces communities, because that's what it really should function as. We've got this group of people that are here together under a unified purpose, and we're going to treat each other in line with these values that we've decided upon together. And so when that really actually starts to happen, and you've got leaders that are living that out, setting a good example, creating that circle of psychological safety, you've got something very special. Contrast that with what's actually happening. There's recently in the news, I posted about it on LinkedIn, there was a major financial group who had an employee pass away at her desk.
Yes.
And wasn't found for days. So, I mean, this has very little to do with in-office versus remote. Like, it almost does. It's not about where these people are sitting. It's about how they're treated. And like great leaders, what they do, they create great peer-to-peer connections. That is the trademark of a great leader. You've got these leaders that are trying to forge their own destiny and, I could lead any team because I'm smarter and better and I know analytics better than all of you. No. Great leaders create great peer-to-peer relationships. That is what they do. And inside of those ecosystems, people feel safe. They feel like they can do their best work. They feel as though they're supported, and they feel as though they're connected. That's what a team is.
And then there's technology today, which you can use to create better peer-to-peer connections. At one stage, we're saying, hey, we want to augment the agent, but I would say, why don't you start with using the technology to first connect your teams within themselves, and then start augmenting the team.
Sure. Absolutely. It's a great point. I mean, there's so much that needs to be done to create a meaningful culture inside of the organization and then protect it. Protect it at all costs. It is the thing that will make or break your organization long term. It is the thing that will lead to your ability to hit revenue targets and keep your top talent and to innovate and to secure the future of your organization, or to just slowly fall into irrelevance.
With the whole Gen AI boom,
Action. I'm curating the things that I'm seeing and hearing and learning, and I'm making our collective knowledge base smarter as part of that activity. You're improving your self-service channels. You're improving the people around you. Together, you become knowledge curators. So that's a mega skill that makes the conversational AI implementable. Because right now, you've got all these companies that are running out here, as you said, trying to eliminate customer service cost. They're trying to implement conversational AI and generative AI. And I've read and through many different sources that 70 to 80% of those implementations are failing.
Correct.
They're not generating value.
Yeah.
They're having to be rolled back. And that's because the number one reason is because of poor data. Correct. There's nothing for them to chew into to ultimately learn and to source from. So when we become knowledge curators, when our supports team become knowledge curators, we're doing something different and special there. But then I'll jump to the third one. It's community curator as well, community facilitator. So think about, I mean, we have these amazing new technologies where we get to do service at scale.
Right.
It's no longer these one-to-one connections. Like, we get to bring our customers into a community, a digital space with us. And the AI is creating an environment where we can have customers supporting other customers. And they're asking questions and getting great automated responses back. Also, customers are chiming in, be like, hey, I tried this. This is really helpful too. But like, we're seeing it happen.
And give me an example, where you've seen it really work for some brand which is doing it great out there, which you've experienced yourself.
Well, a funny one, Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum, like,
really? Okay.
Oh yeah, the spray paint.
Yes, I know.
Unbelievable community function. And like the creative things that people are using that product for, like the loyalty that they've garnered by connecting other, it's just an absolute wave of innovation. So I'm sitting out here thinking, if a can of Rust-Oleum can do this and bring this concept to life, then why the heck in any organization? But a lot of high-end retail brands are very good at this. Lululemon is an unbelievable use case in terms of forging community, forging loyalty through community. Samsonite has as well. Gymshark has as well. There are many of these very modern luxury brands that have done a remarkable job with community. But it's not just B2C. There's a lot of B2B brands that are doing this as well. And that's something that I got to help with at a couple different organizations that I've served inside of lately. It's creating customer forums where it's like, hey, I'm having this issue. Who's tried this? Who's done this? And the companies out here like, hey, we got this new feature coming. Can you take a look at this? What feedback do you have for us over here with this new feature? It's unbelievable the value that you can get. And who's going to moderate that community? Who's going to bring a human element to that community? Your customer service team.
And in that too, and it becomes so much more important because today, every customer service team is so distributed across geographies. How do you bring them together to that common purpose, to the common knowledge base, the common knowledge curators, as you talked about. So
those are two ways where we can take our legacy idea of the customer service worker that was taking tickets and handling cases, that we can evolve them to be generating value and forging lasting customer connections alongside the new AI capabilities that we have.
Got it. That would bring me to the next question. Recently, you started the metric Sherpa, and CX Accelerator. So, talk to me, what kind of work are you guys doing there? Because a lot of what you talked about, and I'm sure, you're channeling all of that into both of these big initiatives.
Absolutely.
So would love to hear a little bit more about both.
Yeah. I mean, metric Sherpa, the principal of which and the founder is Justin Robbins. absolutely brilliant analyst in the space, has been in the space for a long time as a practitioner and as somebody who's been an evangelist and a high-level marketing person inside of many of the CX technology companies in the space, has learned so much and has ultimately started Metric Sherpa, which is an independent analyst firm. And so between the two of us, Justin and I, we're getting to help solution providers to create very dynamic and compelling messaging for marketing professionals inside of the solution provider companies, as well as acting as analysts in the space, having just really good insights coming out on a regular basis, trying to help connect CX professionals in a variety of ways to enhance the community, enhance the work that they're doing, to give people hope and excitement. And I think that's really what set Justin and I apart, as analysts. We're both very exciting people. We love this space. We try to bring a flair of curiosity and just a dynamic element into the work that we do, because it should be, it should be fun. It should be exciting. Like we're creating great, memorable experiences for people. So let's do that in a memorable way. We're helping to really determine, hey, what are you trying to communicate to the space? How can we help to enhance that messaging? And then how can we really bring that messaging to life in the way that that's ultimately delivered and offered up to your audience? So it's a really fun work that we get to do. I've loved getting to work alongside Justin over these months, and I've got some wonderful clients that we're collaborating with. I'm more excited now than I've ever been in my professional career, and I get to, as the head of CX Advisory, I get to keep 2 feet on the ground as well by helping actual CX leaders, the practitioners, with CX consulting needs, really specifically in the area of helping to grow customer service teams, helping to cultivate a very positive culture inside of customer service teams, and making this leap into this new evolution of what CX looks like, helping to modernize those customer service groups.
That's pretty exciting. Basically, whatever we talked about, you're saying, hey, let's go and implement it now. Let's go implement it, right?
Yeah. So I'm learning a bunch that way. That's helping to fuel the analyst work and the solution provider work. So it all connects in a very exciting way. And CX Accelerator is a nonprofit 501c6 professional association. And it's been around for 7 years. I can hardly believe that, but just really got started as a group of friends who just wanted to be a force for good in the customer experience space and create connection and give people hope and encouragement along the way. And that's what it has been and still is. The mission is to equip and to connect and to encourage CX professionals on every stage of their career journey. So we're doing that in a lot of different ways, some digital cohorts that we've offered, some mentorship that we've offered, but more recently we're launching some in-person gatherings at 12 different cities across the country and a couple places even around the world. And we're just going to really help to make sure that these CX professionals feel highly connected and highly energized, and like there's a great opportunity in front of them to have a meaningful career for many, many years to come.
Yeah, and that sounds very exciting. And then for our listeners, you can find all the links, in the comments below, especially CX Accelerator, because, I know a lot of different individuals or corporates, everyone is getting associated with it. It is such an important thing, to bring the community together in a very non-intrusive way and just share ideas and how you do it. So where's your next meetup happening?
Well, we have one in Nashville on April 24th. And we're actively establishing dates and venues for 11 other cities. So those will be announced very soon.
Is Atlanta on the map?
Atlanta's very well covered. So we're kind of leaving that alone for now. You guys have a lot of amazing options for CX community there. Maybe at some point, we'll butt in a little bit.
We should do that. Yeah, we should do that.
We're kind of trying to really target places, especially in this initial expansion, that are underserved in some way, where there's not maybe not great options for them to connect with other local customer-centric related professionals. We want to make sure that they have that opportunity, and we're also looking to once a quarter simulcast one of those events back into our digital community, and connect everybody that way. There's so many folks that they're just never going to get to come to in-person things.
Yeah.
But having them feel like they're a part of the community and that they're getting to have great relationships and connect and learn from these gatherings that we're putting on. And I use the word gathering very intentionally. I don't want people to think of it as events. They're not events.
Correct.
We're talking about 25 up to 40 people, elevating multiple perspectives. We have a community-driven topic, and we have a great formula for how to really bring that topic out and to elevate multiple voices and perspectives across the entire CX ecosystem. One of the things that we've promised early on here, I don't care if you're a practitioner, an analyst, a vendor, a consultant, it doesn't matter. You're part of the CX ecosystem. You care about customers. You're trying to achieve the same things that we all are. And we're going to elevate your voice because you have something to add to the conversation. So we're going to treat everybody very much the same, and we're going to treat them all really well as part of that experience.
So that is almost bringing us, to the end of our this wonderful session. If I was to sum it up, and then please chime in, employee experience, that's where you need to start. But before that, it is very important for the brands to define their brand value proposition. Define their employee value proposition. Okay. And then, use that to hire the right people, build the right community, give them the right experience to deliver experiences that stick. Is that the right? And I would love to get.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Using that company identity matrix to really lock on to your brand promise. What's that unique value that we bring to the world as a community of people in this business? And then let's earn the right to bring the right people in to do that with us as employees, as ambassadors. And then as we think about our customer interactions, the way that we invite our customers into that co-creation community with us in relation to that brand promise, let's make sure that those customer interactions are generating the value and are in the type of brand personality that we would expect. You do those things, you're going to have a highly engaged team of people that are making some great things happen.
No, that's great. But before I let you go, I have one last question I have to ask you, right? What's the secret to your energy levels? Wherever I've seen you, it's vibrant colors, it's Nate Brown, it can be spotted from like 500 meters away. What keeps you going?
That's a great question. I do take Kirkland adult multivitamins, so these are great. I play a lot of pickleball.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big believer in the connection of spirit, mind, body kind of thing. Definitely very reliant on my faith in Christ, and I get a lot of hope from that. From my family, just my love for my family. I'm a very optimistic person because I believe that humanity is wonderful and that we've got a lot to learn from each other, and we've got really, really good things coming as a human race. So I think, it's got to start there, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's
got to be spilling out from somewhere. And then it's building, okay, now I love the customer experience group of people. And this is fun. And by the way, I do love colored suits. And I started collecting them years ago. And
I love them. I love them. It's absolutely. And you carry them well. Nate, I think this was a fantastic conversation. And, you're definitely adding a lot of value to the overall CX ecosystem. I wish you all the best. Of course, we'll collaborate more, we'll talk more. But thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Abhi. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.